Welcome to Pick Yourself Up. I'm Asik Haptold, your host. Today, I have a special guest, Sylvia Henderson. I want to let her speak about who she is and what makes her passionate about. But I want to mention one thing before she shares with you who she is and what she does and so on. One thing I want to mention is she used to be the president, the first African American women president of the National Speakers Association DC chapter. Sylvia, would you tell us a little bit more about yourself to start with our conversation?
Thanks for having me on your show. So I thought about that question. And, so many times people say what they do when they answer the question of who you are. So while this may sound a little ego, I thought, let me say who I think I am. So I think I'm a loving person. I think I'm faithful, sometimes to a fault. I value helping other people, and that'll come out even more and more when we talk. I believe in self-care. I like laughing. I honor close relationships and usually a positive mindset. So that's who I think I am. Now, what I do, I'm a business owner, a speaker. I train professionally. I'm an author, a TV host, and a volunteer. So that's what I do.
You mentioned about a TV host. Today you switched your role. How are you feeling about it?
Now, see, I wasn't sure you were going to reveal that. I was going to act like a guest who had nothing to do with with your TV station. So I'm feeling fine. Yeah, a little bit nervous, but being on the other side of the camera and the other side of the mic. But I can let go. So you're in charge.
Of course, I'll be very nice. Who knows? Next time I may be the one switching, and you're gonna be in my place. So I'll behave. Make sure I make you comfortable. Let's start with your value, the most important value that you have. If you have to decide one of your values as your top value, what that would be?
My top value, I think, would be honoring people. Now that's broad, but that comes into play with everything I do. Comes into play personally. I honor my friends, and I value my friends. I honor my life partner, and and tending to people sometimes overrides my tending to business. Self-care. I mean, I'm a people too, so I value self-care. I value bringing people together. So I think when I think about my number one value, it's probably people in many, many different respects.
From where did it come from? Did you learn that when you were a kid? Somebody imparted that on you? How have you become a people person where you put people first?
Whoa. Now
Other-
that's an interesting thought because I'm an only offspring. so I grew up an only child. So I could pick my people actually. So that was great. If I didn't want to be around people, I was an only child. If I did, I could go outside and play in the streets of Philadelphia, where I was born and raised, and find friends. But my parents were social. I saw how vibrant they were around people. I saw how much they enjoyed parties and friends, and it was always loud. For a family of three, it was always vibrant in the house. So I probably picked that up from them and then learned the people skills from an infant.
You're natural about that. I can testify because I meet you at NSA, I meet you in different places, and you're always happy, passionate, trying to help. You helping me in many ways. So that's true. And you are committed to your values. I am interested to also you to talk about the shift you made. I remember interviewing you some years back in another show, and we talked about ideation. I actually called you the queen of ideation.
Yep.
Recently, I have seen that you're passionate about masterminding. Is there any connection between the two? And what triggered you to make that shift?
Well, there's a huge connection between the two, number one, because people and ideas come together in many different ways. And I've chosen to make my business that, bringing them together in mastermind groups. And we'll define that later too for viewers, I'm sure. But what caused the shift was it was financial. Yeah, I was an individual coach, an individual, and it was just me. And it was a challenge getting the next client and getting business. And the business would be short term, 6-month coaching, maybe a year coaching. Well, I realized I wasn't going to retire and fund my next chapter in life that way. Plus, I come from the corporate world and I'm really, really comfortable in the corporate world. So I shifted to not go work for a company, but now my business, co-founded a business with another person. So that helps, having more than one person. And then also, how can people in companies come together, share their ideas, and make companies more innovative and build culture and create engagement? And that's become my passion. Probably comes through in how I talk about it. And so that was the shift. And, working with companies, it's bigger dollars, longer term.
I'm assuming that you have been already benefited from masterminding. That's why you are trying to help other people while you're also using it as a business model. Would you tell us a little bit about the benefits of masterminding? Because some of my audience may be interested to know what are the benefits of masterminding.
So masterminding, the verb, as you've been saying, is the coming together of people. And I am primarily small. So the most productive way is in small groups. Now, we hear the term, if you've ever been in coaching or a lot of business development networks talk about masterminding as a verb, and it sometimes involves tens and hundreds of people. For me, that is not the real effective long-term mastermind. Mastermind is a mastermind group. The noun is when a small number of people, 8, 10 people, come together. And like Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, author of Think and Grow Rich, said that when 2 or more minds come together with a similar purpose, meaning success, meaning growing each other, helping each other, they create a power that's like having a third mind. That's the power of the third mind. That is, for me, the masterminds. When you and I talk and you have a concern, an issue, an idea, and I hear it, and maybe another person hears it, we can see things and hear things you don't hear and see. So we can give you a different perspective. That, to me, is the key to so much success. Whether your viewers are working in a company, whether they're leaders in a company, whether they're running their own businesses, success doesn't happen alone. And that's the power of masterminds.
Just to make sure that some people don't discount masterminding, you and I, we are speakers, coaches, consultants, and we value masterminds, groups of small people to learn from one another, get access to people, influencers, learn from one another. But I believe that professionals, small business owners, a lot of minorities, underdogs, they could be able to benefit from masterminding. How would you convince them that it's also important to people who are not speakers, coaches, and consultants?
Well, that's why I kind of said that if you work for a company or if you're running your own business, getting together with other business owners is huge. Sometimes we worry about competition. Yes, we need to be aware of our competitors and of competition. Yet we also need to, I believe, mix and reach out to other business owners, other entrepreneurs, because only another entrepreneur understands what you're going through. Only another business owner understands business ownership and the sacrifices you have to make. And, if you're running a flower shop and another business owner is running I don't know, is running a messenger service. If you're running the business, you still have to handle finances and you have to figure out what systems to use. You still have to figure out how to do social media. You still have to figure out maybe how to find an intern or an assistant. So all of those business concepts cross businesses. Maybe the flower shop knows something that the delivery service never even thought of. That's the value of, if you're an entrepreneur, or even, like I said, an employee, somebody in another department may know something you don't know. And if you can come together and realize that in communicating and collaborating, you're not fighting each other, you're not competing, you're helping each other. There's so much contention today, and that just, I hope your viewers grasp that it's the outreach and connection that will really propel them forward.
Masterminding may be relevant throughout the age, but why it is very important now? Do you have any justifications why it's even more important now?
We have been through over a year of pandemic, and it doesn't matter when your viewers are watching this. It's just everybody will have been through the pandemic at some time. We have been isolated socially, and they keep saying social isolation, and that has been the wrong statement the entire time of the COVID-19 pandemic anyway. We don't need to be socially isolated, just physically for the health and safety. Well, in social isolation, there are physiological effects that have happened to our bodies, to our minds from being isolated, that we as humans, in fact, I looked up some stats and I don't know where they are right now in a couple of notes, but we as humans need, it is a basic need to connect. There's all kinds of scientific reasons. Your viewers can Google or, search or Siri, the statistics. But we humans have a physiological need to connect. And now more than ever, that's why we need masterminding or masterminds. And we can do it virtually. I've been doing it virtually for a long, long time. But there's still that connection. I'm looking at you. My body is gaining those endorphins just from connection. And that keeps us healthy.
For a mastermind to be successful, what should be included or incorporated in that mastermind? What makes it very successful?
So I'm going to address mastermind groups the way we create them and run them, as opposed to, like I said, the broader masterminding, because there are a lot. You can mastermind the verb, and anywhere. You can grab two people and sit down in the park and have an informal lunch and mastermind. It's kind of ideation, really, sharing ideas. The mastermind groups, though, should be, in my opinion, and what we do, is long-term small groups. So it's the same people who get comfortable with each other over time. They trust each other. And that's huge in terms of mastermind groups, is building that trust. And that's what we're doing inside companies too. How many times do employees not trust each other? So it's valuable in a company. But some key characteristics of effective mastermind groups: facilitated. So somebody needs to know how to manage time, run the agenda, run the group. So facilitated. Have an agenda so that you know how you're spending your time. Typically, masterminds are 60 minutes or 90 minutes. And that needs to be a structured 60 minutes or 90 minutes so that everyone has a chance to share and everyone has a chance to feed into those who are having issues. Facilitated, structured, short-term, and regular. Regular meaning the third Wednesday of a month from 9 to 10. And it goes on the calendar, and people need to be committed to that time over time. There's plenty of other ways to join together and mastermind, but those are the key characteristics that I've found differ for an effective mastermind.
Let's take a very quick break. And when we come back, we'll talk about some practical strategies and tips on how people could be able to benefit from mastermind groups. Don't go away. We'll be back soon. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Pick Yourself Up. I am your host, as I have told. You are watching Pick Yourself Up, and I'm with Sylvia. We're talking about masterminding, the importance of the third mind, why you should find a mastermind group or mastermind groups for you, whether you're a business owner, whether you're a professional, or whether you are a speaker, coach, consultant. That's very important. I'm going to ask her some questions that are going to help you get some practical strategies and tactics to benefit from mastermind groups. Sylvia, would you please give us some hands-on suggestions, tips, strategies? For example, how do they make that decision about what kind of mastermind group they need to join? How do they know which one is right for them? And also, how do they find the right masterminds?
Wow, that's a lot of questions. Okay, so first of all, how do we even know you need something like that is probably the first piece of that. And that is when you find yourself struggling through, um, you have a thought that you need to clarify, you have an idea and you're not sure, is this a crazy idea? Is there a way to make this work? Um, if you're struggling at work, even with getting a job done, and you just want to reach out to somebody else, and if you're a business owner or an entrepreneur and you're like, how do I make this business work, or I'm stuck is usually the time to seek out help. Now you can seek out your best friend, and you can seek out your partner and your life partner, and they'll empathize with you, and, oh, I know it's hard, but you don't need that when you're struggling. You need somebody who will be honest with you and lovingly challenge you to the truth. So that's when I say it's time to look for a mastermind group of some type. Where to find them? Well, that comes back again. Just so, what are you looking for? Are you looking for business masterminding? And now I'm using the verb. Are you looking for, are you a lawyer and you want to mastermind with other lawyers? Are you of a specific culture or ethnicity and you're comfortable in a mastermind group, in a small group with others of your culture or ethnicity? Because sometimes, hey, Black folks just want to mastermind with other Black folks. And and I can say that. So it depends on what you want from a mastermind. And then you can then start seeking out, where do I find it? Okay, there are special focused masterminds, like you and I are professional speakers. So the organization we belong to, National Speakers Association, we're actually about to start a mastermind locally, but the national organization has had people who mastermind with each other as speakers. That's to learn the business of speaking. If you're, like I said, there's some business networking groups. There's meetup.com. I'm not promoting the URL per se, but you can go to that website and you can find all kinds of groups. There are tech entrepreneur mastermind groups. If you're in the tech industry, hey, and we're trying to create an app, that's where I would go to find a mastermind group. So the social media, put a bolo out on Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is you use, and ask for, hey, does anybody want to get together for a serious mastermind group? So those are the how to get there. Did I answer all the Did I
Yes,
answer the
yes, yes.
string?
You answered. I think the best approach, I would say, Sylvia, because you are an expert on this. You wrote a book about it. For those people who are interested to dig further and know more about mastermind groups, I encourage them to read your book. Would you mind to tell us about your book? At least give us what are the three takeaways if somebody reads your book?
It's called Internal Masterminds. And the book I wrote for the corporate world because the concept is new in companies. And because a lot of the people I communicate with now are CEOs and chief people officers and other executives who need to help their people be better and do better. So I wrote the book more with a corporate slant. However, solo individuals can easily get a lot out of it. 80% of the book is for anybody. And so probably the three key thoughts in the book. Number one would be just everything I just told you today, emphasize in the book about what's a mastermind, why should you be in one, and what does it do for your career or your business. So that's one key point. What's the point? A second key point is really, how do you create them? Or how do you get into one, again, in a company, but still, how do you create a mastermind? If you're not finding one you like yourself, you can create one, because it's all about that, the feeling you're getting, just like you get in a, I was going to say in church, but not everybody goes to church, but you get that feeling of camaraderie in a group that you're social in. So that's how you get comfortable, find a comfortable mastermind. I just rambled. A third point, pretty much just I cover leadership. So how facilitating a mastermind helps you grow your leadership skills. I cover that a lot in the book. So those are 3 points.
Thank you. Thank you. These are great. I encourage them. Where do they find the book?
So because the book title is called Internal Masterminds, they can get the book at the website, internalmasterminds.com. Or, of course, from my business website, there's a link that says, get the book. And, that is, well, my company is MindTeamSolutions.com.
All right. All right. Let's shift our conversation once we talked about mastermind groups. I know you're very successful as a professional, as a person. I want to know at least a couple of success factors that contributed for you, especially since my audience are minorities, such as African Americans, immigrants, and women, and people who are having a lot of challenges. What are your 3 success factors that you think may resonate with my audience?
The first one is related to people again, when people come together. For me, connecting with people as an African American and woman, for me, connecting with people who are different, which may contradict, we like to be with people like us. But for me, the success came from connecting with people who are different, because you expose yourself to new things. You broaden your horizons. You broaden perspectives, and it's hard to know, how can you want and how can you strive for what you don't even know is available? And it's that wanting and striving that brings you success. And so that's why I say connect with people who are different from you is number one.
Before you go, I think I want to emphasize this because I was facilitating today a webinar on collaboration and coalition building. And one of the tips I gave them that when you go out to collaborate and build coalitions, yes, look for your tribe, people who think like you, people you like, people who are your peers, people who share common things with you. The second kind of people that you should look out for should be people who are your mentors, people who are oracles, people who could be able to show you the way.
Yes.
They succeeded, they also stumbled. They could be able to show you what's working, what's not working. They could mentor you. So in your coalition, in your collaboration, in this case, in your mastermind, you should have your tribes, you should have your mentors. And the third one you mentioned it, that's why I want to emphasize. The third ones are the group of people you mentioned, people who think differently, people who could be able to help you uncover your blind spots.
Exactly.
Maybe you always think the big picture, but you need people who are practical thinkers, people who are focused on detail oriented. You may be focusing more on certain group of people. Maybe you need, or your profession could be in one area. You want to have other people joining you or join them who are from other professionals. That way, if you have these three different groups of people in your coalition, in your alliance, in your collaboration, you could be able to succeed. And diversity is important. I'm glad you mentioned this. Most of the time we tend to look for people who look like us, think like us, behave like us. That gonna create monotonity. It doesn't create diversity, and we're gonna have some challenges in terms of thinking differently, creating and innovating.
No, that I feel, I don't know how much time, I feel that that's part of the challenge with the world now, is that, you know, we get our news from the sources that agree with us, and we need to hear all kinds of different perspectives. There's so much contention right now, between and among groups. I mean, with all the things that have happened, with every hashtag that's out there, and it's just, it's uncomfortable. And I admit it is uncomfortable for me as a Black woman to pop into an all white male group and network. But that's what I've had to do in my career in the corporate and Fortune 50 company that I came from. Big name back in its day, like Google is now. And I won't name the company, but everybody would know it if I said it. And that was uncomfortable, but I had to do it. And I had to find my mentors there, because they're the ones that taught me how to maneuver through that world that was unfamiliar. And then I got comfortable. And so to me, just in so many ways, yes, be with people who make you uncomfortable. And I don't mean, you know, bad, but who are different. I could go on that a little. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. We're left with 3 minutes. I want to take everything possible within 3 minutes. You mentioned just one. Would you tell us quickly 2 of the success factors? And I want to move on to the next question.
Okay. Number 2, fast, is listening. Be silent and listen. People will tell you what you need to know and what they're feeling. And then the other one was just collaborate. We are not a solo act. So we've got to learn to collaborate. So those are my 3 success factors.
Quickly, I know people like yourself who succeed, I'm sure they've been stumbling, failing more than once. You've had some setbacks for sure. How do you deal with setbacks? If you have anything that worked for you, at least 1 or 2 things that you always go back to use to overcome setbacks, that would be great.
So for me, the biggest piece, and I keep the serenity prayer in front of me constantly. You know, grant me the serenity to accept what I cannot change, you know, the wisdom to change what I can, and to know the difference. I know I messed that up a little bit, but that actually guides me, and it helps me put bigger things in bigger perspective, to realize this situation, this too will pass. And that gets me through, and then connecting with other people.
Oh, that's powerful. Before we close, I want to talk about if you have any advice for specifically for minorities. I know we talked about success factors and how to overcome setbacks, but if you have any tip, any wisdom for minorities, I would appreciate if you share how they could be able to be like you, because some of my audience could be young, just starting. They need some encouragement, some guidance. So for those kind of young, upcoming, emerging minorities, what do you advise them?
This is going to be in the same line, and I know it's got to be quick, on the same line as as connect with people who are different. Get out of your own stuff. That really is my biggest advice. Get out of your own stuff. Yes, we need each other, and I don't deny that, but we have got to get out of our stuff and not be worried about, I need to be around women. Oh, I need to be around minorities, whatever you may be. Get out of your stuff and get out in the world and to get over yourself. That's a little hard, but that to me is the biggest advice.
Well, thank you, Sylvia. I wish we have time. I could have asked you a lot of questions within this jam-packed time that we had. You shared a lot of great stuff. If people want to reach out to you, how do they get in touch with you?
Probably my website has been on the screen at some point, but it's my website has all contact info. So it's MindTeam Solutions, the MindTeamSolutions.com. Just go there and you'll see all my contact info. And if you're totally desperate, just look my name up. I'm all over the internet, as we speakers are supposed to be.
Thank you. On behalf of our audience, I want to say thank you for coming and sharing this great stuff. Thank you. Dear our viewers, I hope you enjoyed our conversation. Don't forget, you can reach out to me via email, or you can join us on social media, ask questions, comment, share. And also, if you have any suggestion of who I should interview next, what kind of themes and questions I need to ask, please reach out. You will find my email, our social media accounts here. Please don't forget, keep in touch and engage with us until I see you with another interview. Have a good day. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.